You are listening to Go Youth Podcast with Ali SA. Greatest topics of the world like relationship, business, finances, and many more. Live streaming into the whole continent with Ali. You are listening to Go Youth Podcast with Ali SA. Greatest topics of the world like relationship, business, finances, and many more. Live streaming into the whole continent with Ali. You are listening to Go Youth Podcast with Ali SA. Greatest topics of the world like relationship, business, finances, and many more. Live streaming into the whole continent with Ali.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Ali Malekane. I'll be the host for tonight's show. We will be talking about freedom. Last month actually was a freedom month. So we have requested some of our special guests to come in the house and join the podcast so that we can discuss some of the emotions that will be digesting in the house. Still waiting for my guests to come on the channel. I'm just gonna play some few adverts and some few songs while I'm still waiting for my guests to come. I hope you invite your friends also to come and join the show. It's one of the best shows ever. We will be having Advocate Abram and also Professor Arov, and also having the likes of our friends who we usually have on the channel. You're welcome also to join the show. You can send us a message and we'll respond to you with the link so that you can be able to join.
You are listening to Go Youth Podcast with Ali SA. Greatest topics of the world like relationship, business, finances, and many more. Live streaming into the whole continent with Ali.
Kosi sikeleli Afrika malupaganyisu pondolwayo izwa imithandazo yethu Kosi sigelela
Safa saphela isizwe simnyama Iwasafa isizwe saba Yamula mola Hayiminkoka lize Wemaye wemodo Wasafa saphela isizwe simnyama Iwasafa isizwe saba Yamula mola Hayiminkoka lize Wemaye ngiyakhala Wasafa phela isizwe simnyama Iwasafa isizwe sabantu Alamulana Hayiminkoka lize Wemaye wemodo
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ali. I'll be your co-host for tonight. As I said that we're still waiting for a guest, I can see that we already have Advocate Abram on the site, and we also have Professor Adolf, still waiting for the other colleagues also to join us. Tonight, motion that we'll be discussing is one of, I know for sure, I had Professor Adolf saying that the show might take time tonight because, himself and also Advocate Adolf, they might be, debating for a longer time. Very quickly, Advocate Abram, can you please introduce yourself to the house in detail?
Good evening, Ali. Good evening, Adolf. My name is Abram. Currently based in Pretoria, Gauteng. Thank you very much, Jefferson.
All right, no, thank you so much. We also have Professor Adolf Bapela. Professor, can you please introduce yourself in detail?
Hello, Ali, how are you? Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Adolf, and I'm based in Mamelodi. That's all I'll be saying for tonight. Hey, it seems like you have practiced my surname now. It's no longer Bupapi. Well done.
You are listening to Go Youth Podcast with Ali SA. Greatest topics of the world like relationship, business, finances, and many more. Live streaming into the whole continent with Ali.
All right. Oh no, thank you so much. Yes, Professor. I make sure that I went through your surname to make sure that I don't pronounce it incorrectly. While we're still waiting for other brothers and sisters to join us, I believe they'll be joining us along the way. Tonight's show actually will be digesting freedom. We know that a few days ago we're celebrating Freedom Day, so we as both, about beg your pardon. There's something just stepping me on the screen. As Go Youth Broadcast team, we did sit down and come with the motion to say that let's invite the youth to come in the house so that we can talk about this thing, because we have been going out on the street asking people that do they see the need for them to celebrate Freedom Day. Some of them, they say that there's no need for them to celebrate Freedom Day because we're still not free. Beyond the right to vote, I can ask a lot of people question that: does freedom consist of what? I can tell you this.
Safa saphela isizwe simnyama Safa isizwe saba Lamula mola Ayinkokhelize Wemaye wemodo Safa saphela isizwe simnyama Safa isizwe saba Lamula mola Ayinkokhelize Wemaye ngiyakhala Safa phela isizwe sinyama Safa isizwe sabantu Alawulaga Ayinkokhelize Wemaye wemodo
We apologize. We just had some technical issues, and now we are back. Advocate and also Professor, as we're still waiting for other people to come and join, I just want to ask this very quickly to both of you. Do you see the need to celebrate Freedom Day?
Good evening, Ali. From my point of view, I don't see any necessity of celebrating freedom. Why? Because now, based on the history of our country, where does South Africa coming from till to date, I don't see the necessity of celebrating Freedom Day. We are still being held back in a lot of things. Back then, our ancestors, they never fought for us to vote. Voting was the least thing on the things on the agenda of what they're fighting for. The youth, the 1976 youth, they were not fighting for voting. Hence, I'm saying that today is not necessarily for us to celebrate, at least not yet for us to celebrate the freedom. We are still in chain. How can we celebrate freedom? Or else we are not economically emancipated. How can we celebrate freedom? Or else we are still having the colonized education. How can we celebrate freedom? Or else the racism in this country is still at its highest peak. On that note, I'm just saying it's not necessarily for us yet to celebrate freedom. We still have a long way to go. We still have a lot of things to do before us as South Africans, we can declare that today we are standing in pride, saying that we are celebrating the freedom. But it's not yet Uhuru. We cannot yet celebrate now. That's what I will say, Ali.
Okay, thank you so much, Advocate Abram. Very quickly, I want to check with Professor Adolf if his mic is working well. I heard him saying that he's not able to hear us clearly. Professor, is it necessary that we have to celebrate Freedom Day? You're on mute, Professor. Professor, can you please unmute? Okay, I don't know what might be the issue, Professor. It looks like it might be having some technical issues with his mic. I do believe he'll be able to join us shortly. One question that I'll be asking the participant in the house, the likes of Advocate Abram and also Professor Adolf, is that beyond the right to vote, what does freedom consist of? Because a lot of people are saying that the reason for them to celebrate Freedom Day is because today they are free. And now we're asking that beyond voting, what does freedom consist of? Because a lot of people are saying that today they are free because they were actually given the rights to vote. That's why they are free. But the main question still standing, as we still today see a lot of Black people who are still even poor. Most of the Black people who are still even suffering. Looking at the businesses which are owned by Black people which are not doing great. Looking at most people who are educated are from a different race, not from the Blacks. Most people today who are, I could say, rich are white people. I'm asking the question to you, Advocate. Beyond the right to vote, what does freedom consist of? I am not sure if you're able to hear me.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Yes, you know, people will say, you know, people who do not understand the politics and the dynamics of the economy of our country, you know, they will say, we celebrate the Freedom Day because now, you know, back then, yeah, our parents were not allowed to vote. Back then, you know, our parents were not allowed to sit on the same table or in the same restaurant with white people. You know, back then, you know, there were different toilets. There were toilets for Black people, toilets for white people. Now, are those really important things, or what, Ali? What can I say? Are those things really important or need to be celebrated for? Or do we still have major things that we can declare Gucci? This needs to be celebrated because back then, you know, we were not entitled for this. Number one, if this is a freedom, if we say South Africa, we are free, number one, the question that we should ask ourselves is that we are free from what? We are free from who? You understand, Chairperson? These are the questions that we need to raise. And then now coming to answer that is that we are free from the hand that oppressed us, of which is white people in particular, be oppressing Black people. Now, Are we still being oppressed in South Africa?
No.
The answer is yes. We're still, I'm telling you, you're saying no. You might have your reasons that you're saying no. Now I'm saying we're still oppressed in South Africa. You know, you go to I'll make an example. Go to the labor field, especially in the private sector labor field. You'll find a lot of people being oppressed there, particularly Black people. The treatment that the working class, the conditions and the environment that are working at, you know, it's very bad. White people, they're still declaring, there's still apartheid within them. There is still the discrimination between them. And these people, they are not remorseful of anything. That is why President de Klerk, the former president of white people, de Klerk, said apartheid was never a crime against humanity. Listen to that nonsensical statement, Ali. Apartheid was never a crime against humanity. It means now humanity, it was only for white people. Because surely for Black people, it was crime. Black people were massacred, were killed, were tortured. They went through hell. But yet, these people are still not remorseful. I'm telling you, till today, Ali, we are still heavy in the racist white people. And they're solely proud of, and they defend themselves. They're using this tool of what is this, Afroforum, to fight the battle of the racist. And it's working for them. Then how should we celebrate how should we celebrate a freedom, or else we're still going through such things? Elima Matters was just only an example. Let's speak about the economy. Let's speak about the environment where poor South African people live at. Go to Alexandra, go to Hammanskraal, go to Atteridgeville. Our people are still living in bad conditions. What freedom is this? What kind of education are we getting in South Africa? The crime is at its highest peak. What is it that the state is doing about it? We are happy that we are voting. Who's controlling the economy of South Africa? The 90% of the JSE is owned by white people. The minority citizens of this soil. They are owning the 90% of the JSE. They are owning the 90% of the economy. They are controlling the 90% of the economy of this soil. But yet they are a minority. 75% of the land is owned by them. 60 to 70% of the minerals of our soil is owned by them. Then we come here, we stand today with pride, we sing, we rejoice that we are still free. Whereas the unemployment rate, particularly of youth, it is on its highest peak today. There is no hope for the majority of these citizens of South Africa, particularly the Black people. I'm speaking of them because they were never born in privilege. It's only a white child who has access to everything. Till today, if you go to the rural areas, you'll still find the schools that are still using toilet pits. People are, the learners are studying under the trees. Are we still free? We're free from what? Why should we rejoice? We're rejoicing that I can be able to work with a white person in the office. I should rejoice because now I can use the very same toilet that the white person was using. I can never celebrate that. I will never celebrate that. I want a share in controlling the economy of this country. I want the majority citizens of this country, they should be owning the majority of the land of this country. They should be owning and controlling the economy of the soil in our country. They should be owning the majority of the minerals of this country. That is when we can say we celebrate that we are free. We are given a freedom of studying. I should be rejoicing because now in school I'm sitting next to a white child. I'll never do that. And those who are celebrating that they're rejoicing that now we could do anything that white people do. We could do anything, we could share anything that white people share. We can be able to date. I can be able to date a white girl. I should be rejoicing. Yeah, it's freedom. Nonsense. We should be ashamed of ourselves. If we South Africans, we stay and declaring that we are celebrating the freedom, we are free today, we should be ashamed of ourselves. This day of the 27th is the day that we should sit, we as South Africans, and reflect back where we're coming from, what we have achieved, what we should do now, what is the way forward now, where we have failed. Fix the wrongdoings that we have did from since 1994 till to date. But now, because now, I don't know if we black people are narrow-minded or it's because of this educational system that we are going through. I think black people have lost hope.
Advocate, when you're saying that we should be ashamed to say that we are in freedom, remember, most of our black brothers and sisters, they never had access to the right to vote. Most of them, they were not able to go to the universities that most of us can go to now. Most of us, we never had access to the free healthcare as we had now. Most of us, we never had the services which we're having now. Even today,
Ali,
I saw
Ali,
go through.
Chairperson, you're speaking about what? Free healthcare. I just want us to engage on that. You're speaking about what? Free healthcare.
I'm speaking about today, at least the services have been improved when it comes to the healthcare.
Then we should celebrate. Have you been to public hospitals, Ali? Have you been to public hospitals?
Yes,
have you seen the queues? Have you seen the queues in the public hospital? Do you think from the past 20, we are on 28th year? If we are celebrating freedom, we will say now it's 28 years of freedom. But we're still having that mess that is happening on public hospitals. Don't speak about education. Don't even health. The matter of health departments is worse. It's worse.
Who is to be blamed? Who is to be blamed?
Who's to be blamed? Sure. That is a good question. That is a good question, Ali. The government should be blamed. We cannot say black people. Ali, our government now, of which is the government of the ANC, those people I don't know. But what I will tell you is this, Ali. With the 27 years of being in charge of the country, by now, Ali, we shouldn't be having the youth that is not employed. The rate of youth unemployment shouldn't be at 65% today. Now, the health access that you're speaking of about, we shouldn't be having this mess in health department. When it comes to education, it's worse. Learners, they don't even have textbook to study off. But we have the Department of Education. Every single year, the billions that are allocated to the basic education. But we still have the learners that do not have textbooks. Every year, every province is allocated a budget. But go home early today. You still have the muddy road. So we cannot rejoice. The government that is in charge, I don't know if they don't have the ideas or there is someone outside controlling them to make decisions. We lack leadership in South Africa. People who are in charge, they're clueless, they're hopeless. They're not taking us anywhere.
But advocate, if we as the people or we as the communities, we can see that the government, it's actually misleading us. Why don't we use the power that we gave to them? Because we are the one who voted for them to be in power. Why don't we, vote for a political party that we believe that it will take us where we want?
Ali, I'll tell you this. Remember that there was once a time we had a debate about the educational system of South Africa. And then we were saying that, we lack especially the political education. Now, a lot of people, now if I'll make an example, go to the universities, try to recruit some student to join any political party. You know what that student will say? No, I'm not into politics. I'm not interested in politics. I don't want myself being mixed with politics. You can hear with this person, is very clueless because he doesn't understand the country is run by politics. Everything that is happening in South Africa is politics. So now, instead of people voting for the right party, for the right leader, they'll be sticking back. We come far with the ANC. We cannot ditch them now. The ANC has done a lot. You can hear there is no sense. Look at the people of Hammanskraal. People of Hammanskraal to date, they don't have clean water. Not only the government should be blamed, the people in the communities also should be blamed because now they keep on voting for the very same people that they voted for 28 years, but they have not done anything for them. People of Hammanskraal today, they're still drinking dirty water. But yet they still go and vote for the ANC. So now it shows good here we lack a political education.
Now, very quickly, advocate. Let's check with Professor Adolf. Professor Adolf, are we really free? Because we were celebrating Freedom Day. Are we really free?
Okay, Ali, thank you. Ne? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Hello? Okay.
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Ali, I need to add extremely on what Abraham has said. Most of the things that he said are very true. We are definitely not free. There's no such a thing as freedom. Whatever that is happening, it's just an illusion. They're just telling us stories about freedom. Okay, let's do it this way. Freedom consists of two things: ownership of power and the ownership of resources. So we have none of these, or maybe I might say we do have power, but it's limited as people of South Africa. In 1994, the very same date that we were voting on the 27th April, we were actually being given a political will to vote. It was not a freedom, it was just a political will to vote. We are still currently under a non or infinity economic bondage. Black people are still suffering, as Abraham has indicated. Look at people from Hammaskral, they are drinking dirty water, but our government has been in charge for more than 20 whatever years that they say they're celebrating. I don't know what they're celebrating there. They're just celebrating. I
28
don't know what is
years.
that.
28 years.
Yes. 28 years of what? Of suffering. That's what they're celebrating. So the way our government is so mediocre, they even celebrating failures. In 1991, when they were holding this meeting with white people of signing this Codesa, whatever thing, the one that Chris Hani left, they were just giving us political right to vote, not a power. We still don't own our land. We still don't own our resources. So there's no freedom because, as I said, freedom consists of two things: power and ownership of resources, which is positive liberty. Ne? So,
Professor, very quickly. When you
yes,
say you said there are two things. You said it's what? It's ownership of what?
resources and ownership of power.
So hold on. So we don't have black people who own resources. We don't have black people who have assets. Black people who own buildings. Black people who own cars. Black people who own
No,
farms. Black people who have companies.
Ali,
Don't we have them? Because we have black
Ali,
people. They're like,
Ali,
so,
listen,
yeah,
when we
coming
say
from.
black people, we are not referring to few individuals. We are referring to majority as a whole. If a country consists of majority of black people, when we say black people, we are referring to those people. If country consists of majority of white people, when we say white people,
Yeah, there's
we are
there's a
referring to those.
POI.
So,
There's a POI. I'm sorry, Professor. There's a POI that is
okay.
coming from Advocate Abram. What are you raising a POI on, Advocate?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you very much, Prof. Adam. Now, Chairperson, come on. I'm saying that we are not going to rejoice that few individuals of black people, the 25% of the population of black people are owning cars, owning buildings, owning some farms, owning some shares in certain companies. We cannot rejoice that Aboma Ramaphosa, they are owning the mines there. No, we can never rejoice on that.
They are minority, those ones.
Now, we speak about the citizen. We should be, we state equality. We need the gap of the poor people and the rich people to be closed. We need the wealth of this country to be shared amongst the citizens of this country equally so. We don't speak of the individuals, the wanna be, I wanna be a white person individuals that are owning a lot of shares there in mines, in farms. They have huge hectares of mines. We don't speak of such.
There's a POI that's coming from Professor Arof. Professor Arof, what are you raising a POI on?
Okay, no, again, I was waiting for Abraham to finish his point, but then also on the point that he's saying, it's just an additional to that as well. Those people are just wannabes. Remember, Ali, in order to be free, now I would say the freedom will be free if the country is controlled by the system of socialism. Remember, System of socialism is where citizens of a country share equally the resources of that country. Now we are not sharing equally. White people own more land, but they are few in our country. What's that? Does it even make sense that 10 people out of 100 own almost 100% of that? So all that thing can show you, like, as black people, we are still very far, very far from changing. So that is not freedom. What are we free from? Because we're still suffering, we're still drinking water with animals. When the rain starts, people get scared or they will be flushed out. People don't own companies, most of white black people. The highest position black people can get, for example, in a retail sector, could be a regional manager. That's it. Beyond there, CEOs and everything, no black person can be there. So what is freedom there? There's nothing free there. We shouldn't even be celebrating that thing of them saying freedom. There's no such a thing as freedom. We are still battling out of freedom. Even strategic sectors in the government, look who are owning them. It's the people or the puppets of those white men. SOEs. It's a private garden. There's no black person who's owning such entities because they know that that entity belongs to white people, and that is the entity which is the belly of the economy of the country. But then they do not give it to black people. So what are we free from? This is just to blindfold us to say that we have freedom, but we don't have freedom. But our people, as Abraham said, they lack an extremely serious political education because they continue to make wrong decisions and worsening the situation. Because you can't be saying, you can't be repeating the same government that is putting you under a serious pressure or under a serious poverty, but still put them in government over and over again. Let's just use the little resource that they gave us, which is the political right to vote, and change our lives. And the change does not supposed to mean Ali or Ablam has to change the whole country. It starts with everyone else within the country because these minerals and resources, they belong to the citizens of the very same country. So now if I have to rely on Ali or Abram to change that, it will never happen. You can't change the lives of
Professor,
60 million people alone.
So, Professor, I hear what you're saying. Now, how do we measure whether we are truly free then?
When we own our resources, then we are truly free. Remember, I talked of two sources, power and ownership of resources. And the resources include lands, include mining, fishing, the airspace, and everything.
So how are we going to share those things? Because I want to get this. I agree with you. Majority of the white people, yes, they have a lot of resources, assets, and
stolen resources.
Okay, stolen resources. Now I want to.
Yeah, they stole them.
Check this. I want us to go through this.
Yes.
In terms of education, between the blacks and white, we're not being feminine, we're not being racist. I want us to go and check. It looks like I once heard a person saying that most of our black brothers and black sisters, they do not admire going to school to study. They only want to see themselves being rich, but they don't want to work hard. I don't know how true is the statement.
Extremely true. Remember, but you cannot blame them because it's a survival of the fittest. When the nature is giving you something, you are indirectly going to react in a different way. You cannot choose to be hungry if there's solution for you, Ali. That one can happen. You see, so they shift their focus into focusing into the goal of acquiring that right that we're supposed to get, of owning our resources, into surviving. You see, so the people of the government, the ownership, the ones above there who are in power currently, who has the right to change or amend the constitution however they can, they are the ones who are supposed to be blamed because they are not working for the people. As government says, it's people by the people for the people. So they are not working for those people. Whose people are they working for? Because those people, their lives are not changing. Instead, they are getting even worse. The situation is worsening. So why are we still saying we still have government? Which government? Because the government is supposed to be saving the people, but it's not saving the people. It's saving their own interest. So they are the ones who are supposed to be blamed for these people to shift their focus and choosing different lives. because those people, they choose those lives because of their nature is forcing them to go in that direction as they seek survival.
Yeah, I want to ask this question very quickly to Advocate Abraham that is on the screen. Where are the gaps between the vision of a free society and the realities of various kinds of unfreed today? Who actually have to take the blame for those gaps actually? Because I hear people saying that yes, most of the white people are rich, most of the black people are not rich, most resources have been owned by white people. Black people, they don't have resources. Now I need to know who should actually take the blame for these gaps between the black and white.
Thank you very much, Ali. You know, now as Aral have said, we have been given a political power. And then the political power, if we use it wisely, we wouldn't be having these gaps that we're speaking of about. Now, I will state if I'll take a blame again to blame the people who are in charge of this country, the people who are leading this country, and the people who are elected by the people of this country. They're the ones should be taking the blame. Yes, reality is that we are having a massive gaps between the vision of the free society and the realities of various kinds. Now, Ali, correct me if I'm wrong. If you take a child that finished matric at a homestead at Venda and a child of a white person who finished matric, basically they are suited here in cities because they're born privileged. If you put these two people in front of you, who can reason better than the other? It's a white child. Not because a black child is a stupid. Not because a black child is a dumb cop. Because a black child is not exposed enough to the dynamics of the economy and the politics of this country. That is the gap. So now, who's to be blamed that a black child is not receiving a proper education because their parents they are not affording? We need to check firstly. Today is a Workers' Day plus. The minimum wage of this country. Look at how joke it is. The 3,500, it's a minimum wage. Do you think my parent can afford a private school to take me to private school, me and my siblings, with a mere salary of 3.5 chairperson?
Never.
That will never happen. It can't.
Never happen.
That's reality. White people are so way privileged.
But my speaker, let's be honest. Not to be racist, not to be feminine, but most of our black brothers and sisters, they don't admire going to school to get their paper so that they can earn what they have to get.
Ali, repeat your statement.
I was
repeat your statement.
Looking on the two races, The blacks and white. I'm asking a question. Between the blacks and white, which race is more educated than the other one? And what are some of the factors which might be contributing towards that?
Number one was, I heard, firstly, you said that, black people, they're not much interested in school than white people. Now, Ali, we are having children now who are at the age of 7. They're studying primary school now. Now, let's compare the number of graduates of black people and white people who are mostly not employed. Is black people.
Correct.
Black people are the most unemployed graduate in this country than white people.
Why?
Skin privilege.
Your president last, he was giving a speech. He said that the government cannot create jobs. They'll have to depend on private sector. How stupidly the whole leader of 1 million plus population people, he stand in front of the world. He's stating that we as the government cannot create jobs. The people that we put in charge, they're saying that they cannot create jobs. What do you think is going to happen with the people of this country? What do you think is going to happen with the youth of this country? White people are the one who are owning private sectors. The Ruperts, I forgot this other ones. They're the ones.
The
Oppenheimers, yeah. They're the ones who are controlling the economies of this country. The ShopRite retail groups is owned by white people. The Foshin retail groups is owned by white people. All the retails are owned.
I hear
so
you
now,
I hear you.
Me answering that question of me answering you the question of Guti, what does it cause? What causes Guti black people? Why are not the graduate of black people are not employed and the white people are employed? It's because now the black people are not owning the private sectors. White people does. And now, what are you going to tell that 7-year-old? How are you going to, Chairperson, are you with me?
I'm with you. I'm listening to you.
How are you going to encourage the 7-year-old to go to school? Whereas his brother and sister and his brother that's sitting with him at home, that they graduated. Mind you, they have diplomas, degrees, the PhD. They're sitting with him at home. And you're telling this child to go to school in order to have a better life with him. But yet, his brother now is smoking yup, is smoking drugs. His sister now is doing prostitutions and sort kind of things because there is no employment in the country. How are you going to encourage that black child to go to school? How, Ali? What are you going to say to him? Because the majority of graduated people, they're unemployed. How now should we encourage black people to go to school? This is the cause why black people, most of black people, now they don't take the school as a way out. They don't do that. The only thing now that they take out as a way out is crime, is drugs. Go. Come to Pretoria, Ali. Check how many nyoppers do we have on the streets. Go to Pretoria Central at Van der Walt and Brown Street. See how many of the youth of South Africa have given up their lives. They've already lost hope They're hopeless. They're doing drugs.
Advocate, before you go further, don't you think we are also contributing towards the unemployed graduates by doing courses?
How are we contributing to that?
By actually going to universities and colleges, doing courses which we know for sure that even though I cannot find a job, but I can use the skill and the knowledge that I acquired from the college and the university to start something for myself. Do you think that's
one?
Okay.
Okay, Professor can come in. Professor can come in.
Okay, Adolf, come in. I'll come after you.
Ali, what you are saying is a degeneration. How do you come from the high standard education and settle for less? There we are settling for less. What you are saying is that we should just settle for less. That's exactly what you're saying. We can't be coming from high degrees and go beyond to the bottom line of TVs and everything.
Okay.
And then
Can I ask
the economy of the country? How?
Can I ask a chairperson a question? Chairperson, can I ask you a question?
I'm listening.
Yeah, come in, Chan, come in.
Chairperson, have you ever seen a white child or a white woman selling fruits on the streets, selling vegetables on the streets? Have you seen that?
A white woman.
A white person. Let me just say a white person, because most of our mothers they do that to support us. Have you seen a white person?
Nope, I haven't seen.
Have you seen a white person on the queue to satisfy a document, Ali?
Nope, I haven't seen one. I haven't seen one satisfying document.
You know why I'm saying this? We as Black people, most of us, I'm telling you, we have the mind, we have the vision, we have the ability, and surely we are determined to start our own things. Let me tell you now, Ali. You know, if I'm a law graduate, right? If now I'll say I'll start my law firm, firstly, it's going to be a capital. Who'll be willing to fund me? The Youth Development Agency. That is one of the most useless agencies that seek to help youth. I'm telling you. That department is useless. Because clearly they're doing nothing. They're doing nothing to empower our youth. Yes, some of us we are like we are trying there and there. Where am I gonna find a capital to start my business? We are saying to us, Ali, I can use the skills, you know, and the knowledge that I've acquired from the college to start something for myself. Okay, I want to start a business, Ali. From now on, I'm going to say, okay, now, what kind of a business can I do? Now the booming business now is on logistics, especially this ones of the Uber Eats and the Uber, the Bolt riders. But I would need a car, I would need a scooter to do that. I'm unemployed. Where am I going to get funds? The 350 that is being offered from me is the one that I should start a capital with. So Ali, you need to elaborate further to us when you say, Gucci, let us use the skills and the knowledge that we got from the colleges, at least for us to do something for us. But why does it have to be a black child? Why does it have to be a black child to suffer like that? Why is it has to be a black child to go through that? Why is it to be a black child, you know, after graduating, he or she must start her own thing because there is no employment? Why is it? How many SOEs do we have? And what is it that the government is doing to empower those SOEs so that they can work for the people of this country, particularly black youth? Now, that is why I'm saying we are having hopeless leaders, people who do not have vision. Now Ramaphosa already sold SAA. Dinel, I don't even want to speak about Dinel. You know, that is why I'm saying a lot of people, a lot of black people, we lack political education. You know, the president of the EFF, when he speaks, most of the people, they don't listen to what he says, because now they already have this stigma around him saying, you know, this Morena always speaks nonsense. This Morena always insults people. You know, this Morena does not know himself. He's from the NCs, the EFF, the blah 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 blah. People, they don't listen to the content of what he's saying. All the SOEs that we have in South Africa, they can work for us. That the ones should be able, the government should be able to create jobs, particularly for black people. They sold SAA. They wanted to sell ESCOM.
Let me ask this question, advocate to you. When you say the government, it can create jobs, in which way do you say the government can create jobs? Because the president, he said that. The way I was listening to the president, it's like the government will be outsourcing employment from private sector. In a way whereby the government will be funding the private sectors so that the private sector, they can expand and employ a lot of South Africans. Yeah.
Chairperson, why should the government fund the private sector? What else we have the SOEs? Why should the government fund the private sectors? What else we have the state-owned companies? Do you know what happened to ESCOM?
Tell me.
Did you hear the testimony that Brian Molefe gave in the state capture? The companies that they were service providers of ESCOM, they were being bankrupt. The state, listen how stupid it is this. The state had to fund those companies so that those companies can render the service to the state. And after charge the state must pay those companies for the service that they rendered. How stupid is that? Isn't it that if
wrap up your statement, Abram.
Okay, my statement,
Professor Adolf.
My statement is this, Ali. Why should we outsource? We outsource, whereas the state has the capability. Check ESCOM. Yeah? You know, the president of the EFF once said something that is interesting. Let's speak about ESCOM. ESCOM is one of the biggest companies in generating energy in South Africa. Actually, it's one of the biggest companies in generating energy in Africa. Why don't we empower ESCOM? Stop funding those private companies to render service to us. Why don't we empower ESCOM as the state, and then we are able to provide electricity on SADC regions. On SADC region. Let me speak about SADC. On SADC region. Don't you think if we are able to empower that and provide energy on SADC region, on all SADC countries, don't you think that thing's gonna work for us, Ali? Don't you think that ESCOM is gonna grow? And it be able to employ a lot of engineers so that they can be able to work in growing and empowering ESCOM. Do you think that, Ali? So my point is that Ramaphosa, he's a useless leader. He's not a visionary. In fact, we don't know where he's taking us as a country. We don't even have a clue where he's taking us as a country, because we are not growing under his leadership. There's nothing that he has done for South Africa. Or only thing that he's doing is that he's busy wanting to privatize the SOEs, so that by the time his time finished, he knows that he's gonna chow with his friends on the back doors, the companies that he sold to his friends in private sectors. This country is not free. Ali, we are not free.
Now, very quickly, let's allow Professor Arop also to weigh in. Hey?
Okay, Ali, thank you for the platform. Let's start by looking this into this context. Remember, for a company to continue hiring more people, there has to be high demand of something. If you are selling bread and you hired 2 people to bake those breads and you are selling 10 per month, that means you don't need more staff to do that. But then if more people over 1,000 people demand more bread, that means you have to hire more people in order to mitigate those people who are coming in numbers. So this is the very same policy that the government can easily use to create jobs. Number one, Aritomem. ShopRite, for example, or let me say most of retail, but let's speak about ShopRite specifically, because me and Abraham knows very well. For example, what is the minimum wage there? Most of the people, the salary that they get, it's non-taxable. So meaning the government does not benefit anything from those individuals except only benefiting a tax from the company. But an individual person, they are not paid. They pay as you earn tax. So that means government is losing a lot of money through those people who are hired there and they're getting lesser salaries. So that means if the government can push those private sectors to increase salaries, that means government will start to generate more income tax, and also spending will increase. More people will start to go to shops to buy cars, to buy clothes, to buy food, because more people now are earning higher salaries. And that way, what happens is that the demand now is increasing, and then companies will have to start to hire more people in order to do what? To mitigate that demand. Supply has to increase. And also in that context, government will be generating more revenue from sales, and those revenues will help the government to build infrastructures and create more industrials, create more manufacturing sites and everything of that nature. That's how you create jobs. You don't have to ask private sectors to fund you or give you money or anything. You just have to change the policies that force the circulation of money to flow in a different direction, and that way it increases the demand, and then when you increase the demand, the supply has to mitigate that.
Professor,
and if you have
Professor, let me weigh in. Do you think when the government says that they are going to outsource employment, it's because of the government doesn't have enough resources?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You still push those private sectors to bring about those resources. Government has enough resources. There's no way that the government does not have enough. The best resource that the government have is to change policies, to amend constitution. That's the first resource that the government have. And when you have such resource, you increase the minimum wage. You can't be giving people 3.5 to survive, while as the inflation is increasing. 1,000 alone cannot sustain that person, and that person has to spend another 1,000 to come to work. That means the person is left with just 1.5 from food and transport. And then what about the life of that person? Clothing, supporting their families and everything. So when you take their salaries high, those people will have enough money to spend. And when you spend, government still has to benefit from the VAT and also from the pay as you earn tax. And the government will have revenues. Those revenues, it will use them to
You are listening to Go Youth Podcast with Ali SA. Greatest topics of the world, like relationship, business, finances, and many more. Live streaming into the whole continent with Ali.
Evan, what happened?
No, I think we want break. You know,
Ali must warn
what's the
us
other
when
thing?
these things happen. Mshana, I can't be speaking. You must warn us.
Yeah. No. Apologies. There's something you should go through, Professor. Go through, Professor.
Okay.
Yeah, as I was saying, the government will generate from revenue, and those revenues will help the government in order to do those budget species, add more money to the health, add more money to the education, and support the social people who are struggling physically and every other things. That's how you do it. Government have resources. The resource that government has is the policy, and the policy pushes private sector to behave.
Yeah. I want us to before we go any further, Advocate Abram, let's just watch this for a minute, and then we're gonna go through just a minute. All right, let's go through.
Okay, thank you very much, Ali.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Due to the satellite internet not working well, I can see the pictures are not going through. Advocate, you may come in.
Okay, thank you very much, Ali. You know, seeing that video, like people, particularly young, protesting, you know, back then, and today we are saying we are free. I tend to laugh, Uchi. What are we free from? Because we're still having, you know, black people protesting in the streets, protesting that they don't have electricity, protesting that, you know, they don't have water, protesting that, you know, there is no road in infrastructure, you know. There is an always protest against all protest. There are always protests, but we are declaring that we are free. Young people are protesting that for the fees. You know, when I started university, I started in the middle of the year. It was the second semester. You know, my first encounter at the university, it was a strike. The first day that I went to school, I said, today I'm going to school. I found the gates that were closed. Black young students closed the gate. They were in protest. When you ask why, they're saying that they don't have fees. They don't have money for fees. The parents that do not afford the fees. And this NEFSAS thing is not even funding them. It's already delaying them. But we are saying we are free. But yet our black people are still protesting every day. Go to the clinic. We are supposed to have free access of health care. But Mina, I'm unemployed. There is this young black child who's unemployed. Okay, let me say the person get injured. He go to the hospital. They want him or her the 50 rand admin fee. I'm not working. Where will I get that 50 rand? Is this a free healthcare? Am I accessing for free healthcare? I'm talking about the public hospital. You understand? Is this the kind of freedom that we are celebrating? I'm paying 50 rand for admin. It doesn't make sense. I'm not working. I'm not employed. Understand? You go to the primaries, you go to the middle schools and high schools. Parents are buying stationaries. They're buying this type printing sheet. They're buying the pens, the glues, the pencils, the books. With which money? They said there is a free basic education. But our parents are still paying. We are still paying for that. What kind of freedom is that? What actually are we free from, Ali? It's very sad and painful. I mean, I don't want to lie. It's very sad and painful because we are experiencing it. And the worst part that is happening to this country, people of this country, they love media too much, and they follow what media says, not knowing that media is owned by powerful business people at the top there. Now, forgive me to say this. Now, they're shifting the focus of black people from fighting for their land, from fighting for economic emancipation. They're shifting that focus. They introduce these things of chase away the foreigners. You understand? That they're moving the shift. These are politics. They're shifting the mindset of black people. And because black people, they do not understand the politics and the dynamics of the economy of this country, they're shifted very easily. We are forgetting of fighting for our land. We are forgetting of fighting the government, to give us proper housing, to give us proper education, to give us, to be able us for free health care. We stop fighting for that. We're fighting to chase away the poor black foreigners, people who are not contributing anything to this country.
There's a POI that is coming from Africa, say Jama, Africa. What are you raising a POI on?
Good evening, thank you, Ali. I'm raising a POI on the issue of land. Advocate Abraham has alluded there. The issue of land in Africa, to give a clarity towards the recent speaker who was speaking about the issue of land. Our issue in Africa to attend land back to us is that we black people, I think we are not conducive enough to own the land. I'm not saying that the land does not belong to us, but the land is ours. How are we going to use the land? Because whenever we find people that are reclaiming the land, they will just find a way out to opt on the issue of land. They will say, okay, white man, instead of giving us the land, why don't we exchange the land back to you and you give us the money? They get the land back, but they sell the land back to the very same people that they want to take the land from. So the issue of land in Africa, I think most of African lack what we call a consciousness, or the black consciousness philosophy, where they're going to be educated about the importance of land, and also Pan-Africanism, where they're going to be educated enough about land. Because we can't talk about land without mentioning black consciousness, without mentioning Pan-Africanism. Those things go hand in hand. So our people, they claim land, but at the later stage, they sell back the land to those people who they gave them land. So expropriation of land without compensation is something that is going to be in a long run where we are going to talk about it. So it's always going to be on the media. The issue of media, we can't run away from it, because even those people who implemented the media platforms, they knew that black people and source of communication.
Please wrap up your
Yes.
point, my speaker, so that we can take. There's a pure
Okay,
from
on
Arab.
I'm also adding on the
first.
issue of the media. I'm also adding on it, so that we can't say people love media, but media is the way of communication. So it's always gonna be the way of communication. We can't meet up and talk, or like a moshate and other things. So we are going to use media to communicate. So on the issue of land, guys, I think I've just alluded on that one.
Okay, we have two POIs. The first POI is coming from Advocate Abram. The second POI is coming from Professor Arnold. We're going to start with Advocate Abram. What are you raising your POI on?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you very much from the previous recent Mafrika Sijama. Thank you very much, Mr. I don't think maybe you heard me clearly when I was alluding on media. What I was saying is that the media is being controlled, and then the media only shares what they want you to hear. They don't give you the full scope of what is happening. Understand? That is the sense of me speaking of media. I'm not saying the media is bad in the way of communications, no. I'm just stating when it comes to the information, especially very sensitive information, they choose. They don't just give any information. They choose, this one is correct, you can give. This one is correct, you can give. No, this one, this one, this one, they cannot access to it. There are a lot of things that have been on social media, and then when you research further, you later find no, most here we were only given the tip of honey here, but this is the real thing where this is where the honey is being made, the bees, and this is how the honey is being caught. You know, we are not. They just only give you the honey in the bottle. They don't show you how they collect honey there, and the bees are mooring them that side. They don't show you that side of the media. Now I'll respond on the issue of land. Black people are capable of utilizing their land. We are ready to utilize the land. And then when we say the nationalization of the land without compensation, we understand ourselves very well. We are saying not only the land, the bank, the mines, all the resources of this country to belong to the state. And then when the land belongs to the state, I as Abraham, I come, I make an application to the government, and I state my case. Bakoni, this is what I think of I'm going to do with the land. I mean, I want to farm this 1-2-1-2-1-2. Can you please give me the land? Morena, I get the land is on the hand of the state. Okay, Morena, this is the land, work this land. You understand? We as black people, we are capable of using the land. We are capable of utilizing the land. Let the land be nationalized to belong to the state. And then one other thing, check what is happening here. This thing of saying the land will belong to the black people and the black people will sell it to the white people, that is not a concept of us saying we should nationalize everything and then the land must be given back to the black people. When we say that, we're stating the land will belong to the state, and the state will distribute it accordingly to the people how to utilize it. Now, here, it's where people they don't have enough space for cemetery. The cemetery is full. Babuluka na modi mabwana. Babuluka stopu modi mas stupusisi. mara ba re go na le polase nngwe golo ka mo site lela ba re ke a leburu. So batho ba bolokane mo dima batho ba bangwe mara ho ntse go na le plek go le site nyela. We cannot access that land because it belongs to a white person. What nonsense is that? What is dignity of a black person in that? Bearing each other on top of each other. You understand what I'm saying? So now when we say nationalization, we understand ourselves and we are very clear. When we say we nationalize without compensation. Whatever we nationalize.
Please wrap up your point, advocate, so that we can take Professor out of.
Okay, my point is that when we nationalize, everything was going to belong to the state and the state will distribute it amongst the people as per how they're going to use it. That is my submission, Chairperson. There is no way that we're going to give Ali 100 hectares and then we say, Ali, this is yours. It's fine. The land is going to belong to the state.
I see Africa have a POI, but before we take Africa, we're going to take Professor Aruf. Professor Aruf, what are you raising a POI on?
Thank you, Chairperson. Ali, Africa, you're welcome, and then we appreciate your inputs as well. I want to speak and comment also on the point that he raised in terms of the land ownership. Ali, when we speak of the land ownership, we're not referring to farming only. There's a lot of things that are happening on land. And according to our Freedom Charter, it states that very clearly the land shall be shared amongst those who work it. Who works the land? The land is worked by black people. Majority of farm workers are black people. They are the ones who are working that land. The white men are just giving out instructions. So why are we not following to what the Freedom Charter has instructed? The land shall be shared among those who work it. So I work the land, but I don't get a share of the land. Or unless the Freedom Charter has stated very well that the land should be shared among those who work it. And also, to add on what Abraham has said, this land will not just be for black people. The land will be under the custodian ownership of the state, meaning that each and every person who wants to do business or who wants to work the land will get a portion and be given a piece of land from the government. Neither white or black or whatever race, as long as you are a citizen of South Africa and you want to use the land. And this land will be leased to you for this certain period of time. Let's take Fort, for example, here in Silverton. They have bought that land. They own it. They have the title deed. How much money they are making from those land? But how much money was state going to generate if that place was leased to that area, that company, Fort? The state was going to generate. It's like that Fort is renting. You can't come from USA and then you already own a piece of land in our country. You have to rent because you don't belong here. And then any profit that you make from your company on our land shall be shared with us as well as a country. That's how the country and the economy will grow. So we're not saying this land will be taken from white people by revolution or by force and then be given to black people. No, this land will be given to the state. The state will have the rights to those lands and distribute those rights equally to all people in South Africa. The land shall be shared among those who work it. Socialism, in terms of that, states that all citizens share equally in the economic resources, but currently we are not sharing equally. White people are benefiting more than us, than black people. Black people only suffer there. They plant crops, they do whatever, all the hard labors, but they don't get anything out of that land. So saying that black people will take the land and sell it back to white people is just a systematic thing that is installed inside our brain to fear to take that land back. Taking the land back doesn't mean we're gonna kill Fairfoot or we're gonna kill whoever that, and then we go there and claim that we want to put our cows or plant maize mills there. No, we want the ownership of this country. That's the land what the land means. We want the ownership of this country. Each and every person who wants to do business in that country must pay. For example,
so that we can take the POI from Africa. Please wrap up your point.
Yeah, let me wrap up in terms of that. For example, Ali, let's say you are working a company, blah, 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 and you want to start your own business inside that company. Do you think the company will allow you? It will not allow you because that is their premises. So if you want to start your own company inside the company, you must talk to the leadership of the company, and then they will say, we want a share from the company, whatever that you're doing in our premises. And that's it. That's exactly what we mean when we say we want to own the land. We want those people who want to do business with us to lease, rent from our land because we own it. But now because they already have the land, they just come and put their companies there, milk our resources, then they go. By the time that our resources ends, South Africa will become the poor of the poorest because resources don't rebuild themselves, they end. So if we don't deal with this issue while we're still having certain resources to sustain our currency and move further, then we will never be free. There will never be any freedom. Thank you. That's my submission, Ali.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Arnold, for your input. Let's check. There's a POI that's coming from Africa. Sidema, Africa. What are you raising a POI on? Because I can see that you raised the POI 2 times. Please unmute Africa.
Thank you again, Ali. My point of view here towards these two speakers who just gave their views towards this issue of land. We are having a serious problem in our country, especially on the focus of South Africa, not to mention Africa, because a lot of African countries, the black people have full access to land without any interference of anyone, without any disturbance. So our issue in Africa, in Southern Africa, we have the issue of state capture. We can't say everything must be owned by the land. The land must be owned by the government, whereas the government is selling their SOEs. We have to have logic towards those things. The government is selling the state-owned entities, and then we still want the government to own the land. What is it going to use that land for? It's going to sell it again. So we must treat carefully around these things. We know that we have AgriSeta that is helping the young agricultural becomings with these agricultural practices. We are not specifically talking about agriculture, but we know agriculture is sustaining our lives in Southern Africa. So if we focus more on agriculture, we're gonna be moving towards fishing. We're gonna be moving towards mining. So yes, sir.
Africa, I want to disturb you. I see that there's a POI which I believe it's a follow-up on something that you might be saying. Very quickly, I'm going to allow Advocate Abraham and Professor Arnold to come in very quickly so that you can flow. Advocate?
Okay. Thank you very much, Ali. Thank you very much, Africa. You know, we can never be scared to take decisions because we are scared of the criminal elements of this country. And then we are never going to be scared, and we are never going to shy away in speaking out of the way out of the resolutions that we offer to this country because of the criminal elements of this country. Yes, we do have the state capture. You know, it's a sad part that, you know, the people who are in charge are not so very much active in wanting to see justice and finding the resolutions and finding the way out in progressing and empowering South Africa as a whole. We know that we are having a hopeless leaders and the said government that is not taking us anywhere, that is not leading us in the right directions. But
please wrap up your POI so that we can take the POI.
My POI is that to Africa. My POI to Africa is that we can never shy away in speaking out the resolutions that should be taken in order South Africa to be sustained, in order South Africa to be taken forward. You understand, Africa? We can never be shy, we can never be afraid, and then we are not going to be discouraged by the criminal element of this country for us to keep quiet of the resolutions that needs to be taken for South Africa to be a sustainable country. Thank you very much, Chaps.
All right, thank you so much, Advocate. Very quickly, let's take the POI that's coming from Professor Adolf Bapela.
Thank you, Chairperson. I also want to comment on what the speaker has just said, Africa. Maybe I have to make a clarification also in terms of that. There's a difference between the state and the government. The state is the geographical entity. That's an area, part of a continent. And then when we speak of a government, we are referring to the administrators who are in charge of that state. So the current administration can be corrupt, but we don't know if we change that administration, what will come to us. Adding to what Abraham has said, so we cannot be afraid to make such decisions because we are afraid of corruption. The corruption is happening within the government, not the state. So we're saying the land will be the state-owned entity, which is the state is not the government. The government is removable. So if the government is not installing trust in us, we can still change it. As we mentioned earlier in the starting of this show, that we do have political right to vote. So that political right to vote, that's when we will be using it decisively in order to deal with a administrative government, not the state. The state is just a geographical area, not the government. No, my POI was just to emphasize and appoint the issue of separation between government and the state. So when we say the state is the sole owner of the land, what do we mean? Not the government. The government is replaceable. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Adolf Bapela. Very quickly, Mo Africa, can you please respond to the POI and carry on?
Thank you, Ali, again. Thank you, Professor Bapela and Abraham. Guys, the issue of corruption starts with us. As long as we Africans, we are not ready for change. We are not ready for owning the land. I'm not defending the issue that we must be landless. The land belongs to us who live in it, yes, according to Freedom Charter. But remember how the Freedom Charter was structured and how they got to the final say that land belongs to everyone who live in it and who can use it. So yes, we must not be afraid and shy away to talk about the truth or to say the truth about the issue of land and the issue of freedom. Are we ready for change? That is the $1 million question. Because if we are not ready for a change, and we are not ready to take risk of change, then we are not ready for transformation. Speaking about the radical economic transformation, we are not just talking about owning the mines to the state and owning the land to the state. We are talking about also the governance that Bapela mentioned, that it is replaceable. Why are we not replacing? Since 1994 till to date, say capitating our beautiful cities. We are failing as black people. We are failing. And we are quite aware that we are failing. And I think the issue here is the issue of poverty. I'm always bringing the issue of poverty because a poor man is lazy to think. Because a man cannot think.
There's a pure Africa that's coming from Advocate Abraham. Can you please try to wrap up your point before he comes?
Okay.
Before Abraham can go in, can I go in?
Oh, okay. Yes, Professor will go in before. Just wrap up your point, Mo Africa.
Let me finish up. Let me finish up. I will give you a chance. I'm bringing the issue of poverty here, Mr. Aline, because as I've said in previous conversations, that a man with an empty stomach cannot think straight. Our black African brothers who get chance to be in governance, they are there to enrich themselves. They don't even think about any transformation that will sustain the country. They're thinking about sustaining their families, their friends, their close relatives. That is the main issue that we see. The issue of land in governance or in parliament is prolonging to get the resolutions. And we are talking about the resolutions as the young people because we are more vigilant about what is going on in our country. Why are we not, as young people, take a stand? I'm not saying Operation Dudula is doing what is right, but what Operation Dudula is doing is what us young people we should be organizing, uniting, doing and implementing, showing this governance that we are tired of this, their operation system. And even those people who captured our state, as I mentioned that there is a state capture, they will be afraid when they see you, and they will try by all means to manipulate using the media, come to you finding any data that is against you because you are speaking what is disturbing their sleep. So our issue here is not the issue where we are failing to get the land. The land we can get it, but how? Because we can't just get the land by speaking like this. We must revolutionize, come up with resolutions that are going to be implemented, change. We can't keep on having Moafrika's Chama as a leader from 1994 till to date, and you think I've changed. I didn't change anything. I'm just manipulating you there and there so that you can think that I'm doing something. Everyone who comes within me will just behave like me. Why are we not changing? So, Mr. Abraham, you can just get in and give your view. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much. We can start with Professor Arnold because he raised the POI before. Professor Arnold, what are you using a POI on?
Okay, thank you, Chairperson, and thank you, Africa. I wanted to object the statement that a poor man cannot think. That is very not true. That is very not true because that man is not being given opportunity to be listened to because he's poor. How many Nyope boys have you stopped in the street and just want to hear their side of the story? Why are they there? Why are they pushing those trolleys? Because they are poor. We don't want to listen to them. So it's not that poor man is not thinking straight. Poor man is not being listened to. That is why even in marriages, men who become poor, their marriage collapse. Like a lot of divorce cases is because the men either lost the source of income or whatever. So poor men can think. They're just not being given the right to be listened to. I was raising the POI to object on that statement. Abraham raised the POI first to comment on this question. I'll come after.
All right. Advocate Abraham, you may go in.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. We are the nation. We are the generation that we believe in radically economic changes. We are not hopeless. We still have hope. We still love our country. We love our country. To answer, to respond on Africa, yes, we are ready for the change. We are ready for a radical change. Hence why we are issuing this kind of statement that let it be nationalization, because we are ready. And then we are not scared of anything. One thing only we need, and one thing that we should encourage, particularly the black young children, is that they must find a space in a political environment and learn and equip themselves so that when it comes to the time of voting, they can use their political power to change the useless government that is leading us now. One thing that Africa is getting wrong is that A man with a full stomach, he will never think for a person who sleeps hungry. A man who is born in a rich family, he will never think about a person who's born in a poor family. One thing that I will ask Ali is that, what is it that the President of South Africa has done for the poor people during the time of his office? I've never seen anything that the President of this country has done for black people, particularly the black children. He has done nothing to empower us. We lost hope in the leadership of this governance. But yet we still believe that there is people that can lead this country better.
Yeah. Very quickly, Advocate Abraham, the POI that is coming from Professor Aro, very quickly, please wrap up your point so that we can allow Advocate to come in. Sorry, I mean Professor to come in. Please wrap up your point, Advocate. All right, Professor, can maybe please come in?
Okay, thank you, Ali. I think he just went silent, or what happened? Technical issues.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ali, and thank you, Africa, for your points. Ali, I want to speak in terms of the revolution. Modern problems require modern solutions. The issue of bringing back the revolution to take back the land or nationalizing everything else, it's no longer modern, systematic way of acquiring our rights back. So currently, as the black people, we chose the peaceful way to get the land back. It's not like we cannot go to the streets and be radical and become extremely worse and take back our land. We can do that, but to allow a peaceful revolution, we have to take these things peacefully in a nice, lawful way. How that works, we have to start by conscientizing the young ones, teach them political history, teach them about what they need to know. We cannot just start by saying, okay, tomorrow let's go and vote out ANC just like that. What is the point if we're voting out ANC by the people who will be representing those citizens who voted out ANC? The citizens don't have any clue about their policy. The citizens don't know anything what they happen. For the ANC to be in government currently, it's because of the policies that they were teaching our elders at that time. So they voted ANC with their conscious mind why they voted it, they vote for it. So in order to get that radical or that revolution, we have to do it peacefully. At that time, our parents didn't have that political right to vote. They didn't have that platform to speak unless they regroup themselves and speak on their own. And a group was a threat to apartheid government at that time. So now we have social media platforms like this one, we can engage. So this thing, we have to conscientize the community, teach them about what is happening. Because currently, there is a wrong view that the land will only be taken from white people and then be given to black people. That is still a racist move to say, I'm taking this thing from white and then I'm giving it to blacks. The black people, white people who were also born in here, who belongs here, they still gonna say black people are racist and all that. So we have to do it in a systematic and educational manner that puts confidence into our citizens, who will understand why did this decision was made, why 123 has happened. Otherwise, if we choose the revolutionary way of just going to the streets, yes, we can do it, but doing that, it's a very, for me, it's a very foolish move, because modern problems require modern solutions so that we can build confidence amongst our people, and then as we grow higher to the north side of Africa, you see. So that's how we will regain our political and economic strength. We have to do it in an educational way by conscientizing the community, teaching them their rights, teaching them about the history, teaching them about the value of having the land, so that they know that when you do this decision, why it was made. Currently, our parents didn't know why certain decisions were made. CODESA, ANC decided to choose their delegates to go there to support their CODESA movement without putting confidence into our people, why the meeting was there, what was discussed in the meeting, and all those stuff like that. So that solution or that whatever way of resolving issues, we cannot go back and use it, because we have seen its flaws, we have seen its failures, and its failures are dominant now. Things are getting worse because of the decision that they made on their own. So we are saying now, let's come this thing from the youngest of our population and take it higher to the elders of our population, so that they know the value of what we mean when we're saying land reform. We don't just decide to do it on our own, because this land belongs to everyone who lives in South Africa, whether black or white or Indian or whatever color that might be. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Arrow. Very quickly, let's take a quick break. We'll be back shortly.
You're listening to Go Youth Podcast with Ali SA. Greatest topics of the world, like relationship, business, finances, and many more. Live streaming into the whole continent with Ali.
All right, we are back from the break. I believe we're supposed to take a POI from Advocate Abram, correct?
That's very much correct, Ali.
Okay, cool.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you very much, the members of the panel. I'm very happy now. Africa, we are starting to agree that it's high time that we need to take a stand. But now the approach needs to be all right. You understand? Because now another problem that we're having, that the motion of nationalizing the land was passed in the parliament, and then this puppet of Cyril Ramaphosa, they voted against the motion. Said no, the land cannot be nationalized now. So these are the issues that we need to articulate. Now, speaking in the sense of how do we approach? You mentioned Operation Dula in some stands. You know, Yamana, if you know what you're fighting for, and then what you're fighting for, how is it going to bring value? How is it going to bring hope? How is it going to bring change to what you are fighting for? It's very much good. So Operation Dudula, we cannot upgrade it, because now it's just a useless bunch of people fighting foreigners who do not add value to our country, who do not contribute to our country. So we cannot waste our time in articulating and getting forms from Operation Dudula. Operation Dudula, it's the same as this group that they call themselves feminist. You know, allow me to speak of such a little bit. You know, this group of feminists, that's such a disappointment. They're proclaiming that, you know, we are fighting women emancipation. You know, we want women to lead. We want women to be in a very same space with men. But when a woman is being killed, you see them tutoring, feeling the street. When a woman is being declined a certain position in a department, you'll see them feeling the street protesting. But they have no shame on what they did on the previous incident. The whole council, the whole panel, it gives the recommendations. The recommendations state that it's high time now we find a woman to be a chief justice, particularly a black woman to be a chief justice. You know, the even reason is not because they don't recommend her to be a woman because to be a chief justice because it's a woman. They recommend her to be the chief justice because she's qualified for that position. She has abilities and capabilities and qualities to be on that position. But the president comes and elect a man, appoints a man to be on that. And those women, that group is quiet. And tomorrow when they speak, we have to listen to them. What nonsense is that? So what point am I bringing here to the panel? My point is that let's our approach, let's fight for something that will bring value. Let's fight for something that will bring change. Let's fight for something that will empower us. So it's not yet time for us to celebrate the freedom. To all South Africans out there who are listening, particularly black people, it's not yet time for us to celebrate freedom. Guys, it's a lot we need to do. It's a lot that we need to fight for. But firstly, let us start in changing the leadership of this country. The political party of this country is taking us nowhere. So it's high time for us to change it. And then elect another different party so that we can see if whether things that we are speaking of about are doable or not, or we just having the dream. But the power is in us. We should make sure that we vote for the leadership that will bring change, that will empower us, the leadership that have vision, that will lead us not astray. So my submission to you, Ali, is that, and to the whole panel is that, comrades, this is not yet the time for us to celebrate. Black people, the majority of this country, are still suffering. Before we can speak of Africa as a whole, let's fix South Africa, and then let's fix SADC region, and then let us go there. When we go out to Africa as a whole, we know that SADC region is on its core, it's on its strength. But it starts with us here in South Africa. Celebrating the useless things of we are able to buy cars, we are sharing office with white people, we are eating dinner with white people. Those things are minor things. It's just a cream on onion. We are only licking the cream. We will forever be hungry. We are licking the cream. We are eating a dessert. We need a full plate. Let us chow the full plate, and then the dessert, we will celebrate it after. We have very serious issues to resolve here as a country, particularly black people. So I would say, Ali, to fellow black people, particularly young black people, comrades, let us not lose hope. Let us try and try. Let us voice it. Okay, my point is that to all the comrades, to all black people, let us not lose hope. We still have power to change this thing, and we can do it. We have resources, we have everything. Only we need to change the leadership that we have in our country. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
All right, thank you so much, Advocate Abram. Very quickly, while we are about to wrap up the show, I want to ask this question that I want to start with Professor Adolf Batela. What are the resolutions to South African problems? The problems that South Africa is facing, what are some of the resolutions which you can suggest to the House? Professor Adolf.
Okay. Thank you, Ali, and thank you, Abram, for your point. It's very much knowledgeable and very clear. Ali, I don't know, when you say problems, you are referring to all particular problems in South Africa or in relation to the topic that we speak, because we have a lot of problems in South Africa.
Unemployment, no, in general, it's a generic question. It's a generic question. It's a generic question.
Okay, the problems that we are facing in this country, there are too many, extremely many. So in order to resolve those problems, like I emphasize the issue of teaching the young ones and making them aware of our political arena, making them aware of what is happening politically in our country. That is the first step that we need to do in order to solve the problem, because we cannot only be milking the cream on top and not knowing what's underneath, you see. So that way we won't be able to resolve our matter. So we have to start from the bottom and come from the top with everything, to build confidence from the young ones until the old ones, as I said. So the problems of our country are too many, and they require that one political right that we have to vote. That's the only way to resolve our problem, because our problems are too many. I can't say police should go around arresting people because they chow with those people, or I can't say Ramaphosa should create jobs because he said he can't create jobs. You see, so we have a lot of problems in our country. The only way to solve those problems is to just use that one political right that we have to vote correctly, and teach the young ones our political knowledge, install them with what is happening in our country. This thing of people saying, I don't follow politics, it's nonsense, because those things, they affect our lives each and every day. For the prices to be high, it's politics. For everything to increase, it's politics. So when someone say doesn't care about politics or everything, such person need a serious teaching in order to remove that kind of mentality from their mind, so that they will apply it properly in making decisions in future when they're voting. This thing also of just going to cross the party on the ballot paper because you like the leadership, or maybe now you're impressed by Ramaphosa's nose or whatever, it will never work. It's just a 20 steps backwards. So we have to install political knowledge to our young ones, and then grow with them, and then That way we can resolve our problems of this country. Thank you, Ali, and thank you to the panel as a whole.
All right, thank you so much, Professor. Very quickly, I'm moving to more Africa, looking at the problems that South Africa is facing in general, looking at the corruption, looking at poverty, looking at the inequality that we're experiencing in South Africa as a whole. What are some of the resolutions that you think one can take them in the House? We also acknowledge the presence of Professor Oshiri live from Kenya.
Okay, thank you, Ali, and the members of this show, together with the viewers. Our problems in Southern Africa and the whole Africa, there are too many, and they need a very conscious, radical change where we change the governance. We should change and outvote the current governance, and we vote for the new governance, because as the young people, we have to tell a story to the upcoming generation, and the story that we must tell must not be a boring tale, must be a very interesting tale which will inspire confidence in the generation that of that time, that our brothers, sisters, our fathers and mothers fought for this change, fought for the land of this country. We can't be parading the codes of our previous presidents, acknowledging them, celebrating them, those revolutionary giants, but at the end of the day, we still renting on our country. We must not be the visitors of our country where we were born in. So we must own everything within this country. We must be in control of our land. We must inspire education that is favorable to African child, decolonized education, and we must have free quality education for all, not to mention the free healthcare with adequate and professional workers, not those who are just dancing on TikToks without helping our sick people in beds there. And we must have law enforcement that take our matters serious, because as the young people of this country, we can even gather here, open a case of this land, follow the right procedures to gain the land, to get the land back. We can do a lot of things that can fight the poverty in this country, because we are on the rise. 78% of this land is owned by the white people, and that is not even said or talked about on the media. So it's us. It's our time as the young people of these countries. It's our time as Africans to fight for what is rightfully ours. And thanks for the participants, thanks for viewers, and we think we should educate ourselves. So I'm still saying, if the dinner table of each and every political party in Africa, we have black consciousness to eat, and we have Pan-Africanism to serve as our dinner, we have a way, or we have a right way to go. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Africa. Very quickly, I'm going to move to Professor Oshiri, live from Kenya. Good evening, Professor. Good evening, Professor Oshiri.
Good evening, Mr. Ali. Actually, I just came in to say hi today. I was not ready on the motion, but I hope you guys are doing fine.
Very quickly, Professor, since you said you just came in,
can you get me?
Very quickly, Professor, since you just came in, very quickly, I just want to ask you this question. Looking at Africa, what are some of the resolutions, looking on African continent as a whole? You know that we're experiencing a lot of problems. What are some of the solutions that you can bring them in the House, or you can advise to the African Parliament, that they can put them down so that they can resolve the problems that we are experiencing in Africa. Professor? Professor Shuli, are you still with us? Okay, all right, not a problem. Thank you so much, Professor Shuli, and also Professor Arnold, and also Africa, and also Advocate Abram, who also managed to join the show. I'll take this time and thank you so much for joining the podcast.